Hi and welcome to the latest episode of Dynamic Duos, a Bradley O'Marney podcast. And today I'm joined by Nik Welsh, Executive Director of Communities and Customer Services at Believe Housing. And Nik is also Chair of Constructing Excellence in the North East. And alongside Nik, we've got Sarah Sidey, Northern Regional Director at Recruitment and HR Specialist Randstad. And Sarah is also Chair of the Lighthouse Club Construction Charity. So first of all, I'm going to come across to you, Nik. So do you want to just tell us a little bit about your role at Believe Housing?
Yeah, I'm the Exec Director, so report directly into the Chief Exec and underneath, so run the business generally. But underneath my specific areas, I do the frontline services.
Yeah.
So everything from the property maintenance, repairs, compliance, things like that, to planned maintenance, to all the customer hub, neighbourhood offices out and about, and all the wraparound services that we provide for the community. So quite varied.
Yeah, and how long have you been at Believe Housing for?
I've been here 5 years now.
Yeah.
It feels like a click of the fingers, but yeah, 5 years. I joined 9 months before we went into COVID, so it made for an interesting start to my first year.
Yeah, excellent. And Sarah, Regional Northern Director at Randstad. So tell us a little bit about your role and also Randstad as well.
Yeah, of course. So I've been with Randstad for 14 years. I'm responsible for our operations in the north, so similar to Nik, the day-to-day running.
Yeah.
But in part of that is how we network and connect with our clients.
Yeah.
So utilising where we can support with talent, either that be on a contingent basis or a permanent basis, and actually working with our clients to identify solutions to their problems. So what really keeps them up at night in terms of that attraction and retention piece.
Yeah. So moving over to your other jobs, which are probably full-time jobs as well. So Nik, you're Chair of Constructing Excellence in the North East. So just tell us a little bit about that and what's coming up for Constructing Excellence in 2025.
Yeah. I took over the chair role, I think it's 7 months now. It feels like a blink of the eye, but 7 months I've been chair. Was on the board for a number of years, so I have been involved with Constructing Excellence over the years. And it's just a fabulous organisation, real conduit in the North East for the construction sector. It supports people, it supports organisations, it facilitates think tanks, conferences, workshops, seminars. It really positions itself well to support the sector as a whole in the North East. So we've done some fabulous stuff in 2024. We've really grown our membership. We've had some amazing events, and we want to solidify on that. We want to continue to grow. We talk a lot about evolution, not revolution, and we want to be the go-to place for the construction sector, whether you're a consultant, contractor, subcontractor, whether you're a student just starting out. Get involved with us and we'll help open those networks and channels for you.
And a lot of the events are run via the 4 theme groups as well, aren't they? So do you want to just touch on those and tell us a little bit about them?
So we've got 4 theme groups. We've got people, climate, innovation and value.
Yeah.
And they're run by members of our board, and they do some fantastic work. I suppose before I go into what they do, my pitch would be, if you want to get involved, please let us know. We're always looking for people to get involved with those groups. I, until recently, was just on the people group.
Yeah, you were.
They did some fantastic work with the All In conference, which really opened up the sector and spoke about the difficulties that some people have getting into the sector and how do we keep that door open and make sure there's a chair on the table for everyone. The Value Group has just put on a fantastic seminar about the race to the bottom, which is a big problem in our industry. How do we ensure that we're not just going after the cheapest price, that we're getting real quality? The innovation, I've just put on a conference as well where they had the weird, the wonderful stuff that I'd never even seen or heard of.
Smart construction, that right?
Yeah. We did smart construction. It was the first one we've done, and we got interest from far and wide, from up and down the country, and even some people from Europe interested in it. So there are some fantastic events that are run by our theme groups that all channel up and feed into the boards.
Great stuff. And Sarah, moving over to you, so Chair of the Lighthouse Club Construction Charity. So can you tell us a little bit about the charity and what it stands for?
Yeah, of course I can. So I'm the Chair for the North East. So across the UK you have, and it grows every year, over 14 regional committees with all feed into the national charity.
Yeah.
So it's about promoting well-being, health, supporting the industry we work in, whether that be through financial requirements, the right mental health and well-being resources. Everybody has a challenge at some point in life. And I think we have to support anybody and everybody to be more open about talking about what they're going through, the challenges they face on a day-to-day basis. And the stat which is really grueling and really hits home is every day, I'll get that the right way around, every day 2 construction workers lose their lives. Every day. And that's something we've got to change. And the only way we can change that is through collaboration, working together, having one voice as we drive that through the industry, that it's okay to not be okay, and start talking. And you'll have seen the wonderful coloured vans that have been out across the region but also across the UK. And we're lucky enough to have a chap called Ray, who's actually based in the northeast, going out on site and actually chatting to the teams, bringing his lived experience to what he's been going through, and actually creating that environment, psychological safety for people to go, I've also been there. And there's been so many positive interventions and life-changing moments, and it is actually life-changing moments that make a real difference. And the likes of Construction Excellence, Seeker, CAN, all the great organisations in the Northeast are behind this charity, and that's what makes a difference.
We've had them out.
Right.
Yeah. We've had...
Is that Believe Housing?
Yeah, Believe Housing.
Yeah.
We've had them out twice now. And they, we run a number of sessions because we can't get that many people in, because it's so well attended, makes a massive difference. And it's that storytelling. It's not just us standing at the front, pitching his leadership about the support that we have. It's the storytelling for people that have got real live examples, lived examples, and our staff love it. It makes a massive impact.
Do we know why the stats are high as well? Have we looked into, the reasoning behind that? Is it because, some workers may have to work away from home for long periods of time, and, it could be family issues, or do we know why those stats are there?
I think there's a number of contributing factors to it. And this is part of that positive change we need within the industry. And you've touched on it there in terms of working away from home.
Yeah.
So you're in it. People think, oh, great, you're going to be working away from home. You're in a nice hotel. Yeah. You'll get room service every night. Oh, you can go make some pals in the bar.
Yeah.
Well, that's not necessarily always the case.
It can be lonely.
And it can be really lonely.
Yeah.
And then that leads to, I might just go and have a beer, or I might just go and have a glass of wine.
Yeah.
And then one beer turns into 5 beers, one glass of wine turns into 5 bottles of wine. And before you realise it, you're spiralling out of control and you've got nobody to talk to. Or you then might end up going, I'll just have a little look on this gambling website and put a £5 bet on. And before you know, that £5 has turned into £5,000.
Yeah, so it's...
And
spirals.
It spirals. It can spiral really quickly. And I think if you then think about the environment, it's really cold today, isn't it? First thing we said when we came in, it's chilly out there. Working conditions is really cold, and there's a skill shortage. There's pressure in this role within the construction sector. Unfortunately, there's targets and deadlines that have to be met. And with that, sometimes if you have inexperienced managers or managers that don't necessarily cope well under stress, that comes out on the workforce. So it kind of all interlinks together, and the more you get people to talk, the more that people are aware of the support that's out there and you can signpost them in the right direction, the positive effect it'll have on the industry and the local economy and people in general.
It's a cultural piece as well.
Completely.
With the organisations who they're working with, so that they've got that support, they've got a mentor, they've got somebody who they can go to as well.
This was an industry that was seen as a roughy, toughy, strong, male-dominated, so male behaviours industry where you didn't talk about that.
Yeah.
You came in and you did your job and you were hardworking.
And toughen up and it's not a problem.
Those kind of, that language is not that far away in our history as a sector.
Agreed.
So it's the talking, it's being comfortable to talk on site and say, I'm not feeling okay.
Yeah.
And I think with that though, and this is probably the most important piece, it's about giving the person the opportunity to be heard.
Yeah.
But also, are you actually actively listening? And by that I mean, stay silent for 3 minutes. And it's harder than you think. It's really hard to do, because once somebody starts talking and they realise you're not going to fill in those gaps, they'll really open up. And it's about looking out for what's actually not being said. And that's relating to anything within a work environment, from how you support your teams and how you progress your teams and that retention piece, because it all links back to how somebody feels in a work environment and what a business is actually doing to support you. We had a great session as Randstad's leadership team a couple of weeks ago with a lady called Christine Armstrong, who's really well thought of and does a lot of thought leadership in the HR space. I really encourage people to have a little look at our work. And she got us to do it. And it's really hard to stay quiet for 3 minutes. But the insight you get from speaking or letting somebody speak to you, and then vice versa, and that connection, and those are the bits that will move an industry around, that connection, that personal
support
network and doing it and doing something differently. I mean, Nik and I have known each other for 15 years plus, which is a very long time within this sector. And it's about growing your network outside of the organisations that you work with. So you have somebody you can go to from sort of a peer and go, oh God, they've got this challenge. Oh, I'm not too sure. And it's about how you can...
ideas off each other,
And it's how you can then grow and support each other, because...
And trust as well.
Trust is so important. And I think if you look back in terms of connections with people, and it's all about that connectivity and putting somebody at the heart of a business. Because if you haven't got people, you haven't got business, have you? Even with the rise of AI ain't going to take over the world, is it? No. We just need people's skills to develop to help support that in their businesses as they grow. But if you look at that peer-to-peer relationship and peer-to-peer feedback, and we touched on it just before about the powerful conversations that the Make It Visible team have been doing around mental health, but also because they then relate to it. So when they've gone off-site, the people in the site cabins and are out and about, they then start talking and going, oh, what did you think of that? And it creates a different conversation. And that's the same as well when you're in a work environment. It's an awareness.
So we also touched on, you briefly mentioned the skills gap. So, and the skills crisis within the construction sector. So do you want to just tell us a little bit about that, Nik? You know, what are the issues, the challenges that we're facing in terms of getting people into the construction sector?
I think it's massive, and there's not a silver bullet, because we've checked and there isn't one.
And we've been talking about it for about 15 years, if not longer.
And we're standing on the precipice now. It's a gaping issue that we need to address. The construction sector is not seen as an attractive prospect, and we don't know why, and we need to change that perception out there. I don't know whether it's because we've had our peaks and our troughs, and people society sees when we have the bad times, not necessarily the good times. And they see when we pay people off and companies go bust, but they don't see the success that we have. They don't see the young people coming in, don't see the varied and number of exciting jobs that are available to them. They think that you're either a trade, so you're a gas engineer, or you're a bricklayer, or you're an architect, or you're a QS. They don't see that there's probably about 100 different roles that sit behind that, and different specialisms, not just the construction specialisms. So us as a Constructing Excellence, we're really trying to make a difference, whether that be engaging with them when they're in junior school, senior school, college, university, just to get them through the door. But then there's also the work that we do with people that are not just in like school or education. There's the armed forces that we work with to try and get them in when they're leaving and joining civil life. There's we're looking at how we get single mums into the sector. We're looking at all these different avenues because we think, and I certainly really champion, it's a fantastic sector to be in. It pays well.
Friendly sector, I find.
You can have a career, pays well. You can have a varied career. You can collaborate with some people, have fantastic relationships over a number of years and really carve your own little place in that sector. And in the Northeast, it's small. We're not massive, so everyone knows everyone. So there is that real
community feel to it. Yeah, definitely.
And I think the importance piece is sometimes people feel that they'll be pigeonholed.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're a gas engineer. You're a gas engineer for life. But that's not the case. No. There's so much opportunity to reskill, progress, and move into a different sector within the construction sector. You were originally private sector, weren't you?
I was an architect.
Yeah. Were you?
Yeah. Started out...
what is your background then? Tell us.
I started out, did architecture at university, went into practice, started to be an on-site architect and really enjoyed being in charge of a project. So decided I wanted to be a project manager. So then moved to a project management company in the Northeast, realised I needed a different qualification, so went back to uni and did my RICS chartership, built a number of buildings in the Northeast, and then moved into housing because I wanted to give back. I wanted to do something more community-based, regeneration. So I've had completely different roles in my 20-plus year career. So you can move, you can change, you can flex, you can find your passion once you're there, can't you?
Agreed. And I think within the Northeast, and you touched on it, it's a community. And when I link in our central teams within Randstad, I'm going, right, I want to go and do this. Yeah. Let's chat. And I think it really... the strength of community and that allyship within our industry, especially in the Northeast. For example, we've just signed the Armed Forces Covenant. So we put that on it, which is amazing. It's something we're really proud about. We popped that on LinkedIn and we get a message from Believe going, we're one step ahead of you. We're at gold. What can we do to support you? Well, that's great because that's what we want. So we've set up a call with our central team, and then there's an action plan of how they're going to help us get to the next level, but also networking as to where we can add value. So that's what it's about, because change doesn't come by one organisation doing it.
It comes as a collective.
Change comes as a collective. And the only way we do that is if we do it together and not be afraid to go and show what we're actually doing and how positive it is. We chatted about it before. The perception of the industry isn't great. It's changing and it's moving, but we've still got a lot of work to do. And I think if you look at Randstad, have done some great brand reports, and we've done them for 24 years. And they're commissioned by Randstad and they're done by Kantar. So it's all independent and the research is massive. But what it shows is the awareness of an organisation is important. But it's the attractiveness. And if you think of awareness, if I mention Carillion, everyone goes, oh, yeah, agreed. So that's the difference about being aware of an organisation. Sometimes can have some negative connotations with it. It's the attractiveness. So if you think of those organisations who are out there and putting themselves at the forefront and sharing what they're actually doing to either change a community or showcasing what they're actually achieving internally of, right, this is our goal, this is our mission, and this is what our team are doing to help us get there. That's the difference.
So going back again to, the skills gap and addressing that, through companies with the, creating their company values, vision, having strong branding, having good, initiatives to keep and retain and attract the employees. So Bradley O'Mahony and Randstad are collaborating next year.
We are. Really excited.
So 2025, we're doing a series of 4 workshops in conjunction and supported by Constructing Excellence Northeast. Thank you, Nik and Katrina and team. And the first one will probably be end of February. We're going to launch that very soon, and that will be around employer branding. So do you want to just tell us a little bit about what some of these workshops will entail, Sarah? So obviously the key themes are employer branding, looking at how you attract your workforce, you retain them, looking at reskilling and, developing that skilled workforce, and also developing a workforce that people want to be part of and are passionate of, and, developing those employees because they are essentially your company ambassadors, really.
They are. And I think the voice of those that work for you is so important.
Yeah.
And it's a top down, bottom up approach. Get that? It's near the end of the year, isn't it? We'll get there with it. And actually, what research shows is it takes a community for any change. Yeah. And your community can also be your internal company, whether you call it yourself your squad, your team, whatever that may be. They have to be part of that vision and part of that goal of whatever you want to achieve. And this time of year is great to reflect as the year ends and people going into 2025. What was great? What could have been better? What do we do differently? Or you reflect as a business leader yourself in that, but you can't change an organisation yourself. It has to be a collective. And we're moving at such pace. Yeah, we're in a digital revolution, quicker than the industrial revolution. Yeah. And if you don't keep up, you'll fall behind. And I suppose, and we've seen it firsthand as well, people don't necessarily embrace change. No. There's a fear around it, and it's how you communicate that and get everybody embedded. But going back to your point around the specific workshops we're going to be running. So first one around brand and the importance of that, and setting out your company goals and how your people buy into that. Then looking at how you retain your staff. Yeah. Because that's so important. We're in an industry that are losing so many people, and I think we need an extra 250,000 people within the construction industry by 2027. How on earth are we going to find those people if we can't actually retain those that we have
and to build all of these houses.
And to build all the houses, build all the buildings, maintain them. Yeah. It's a huge job. So if we look at that retention piece, and actually, you probably think, people just want to be paid more money. If you pay people, they'll stay.
But you've got to have that strong company culture. People need to feel, valued and part of it.
Do. What is your brand? What is your culture? And then that has to be your USP. Yeah. And you're not going to be all things to all people, but you don't want to be.
And you have to be okay with that.
Yeah. Build it and decide what your culture is and stand firm to it. Yeah. And they will come. Yeah. You'll find your people. The people that have the same values as you, the same people that have the same behaviours as you. Yeah. For us, we nurtured our culture. It's the most important thing that we focus on.
So I'm guessing that, Believe House and the senior team communicate that well with everybody across the business as well. I'm sure that they know the vision and values, and you probably have, regular meetings with the teams as well.
It's so important. Like Sarah said, your culture is every single person. I can't create the culture. Yeah. It's not one person. It's
got to buy into it.
Yeah. And we've just got our best companies. We just got 3-star result, which is world class. It's absolutely amazing, and that's built on us focusing on the culture for everyone. What does the person that comes in the office at the morning at 7 a.m. feel like? What does the person that gets in a van and drives to site in the morning feel like? You've got to tailor it. You've got to make sure that you're the different wants and different needs of people are satisfied. They're not little cookie cutouts, your employees. They're all different. They have different home lives, different wants, different aims, and you have to be aware of that, and you have to respond to that, and that creates a culture where people want to turn in, they want to do a good job, where they're happy. You should be happy. You spend most of your time at work with your colleagues. It should be a happy place. You should want to come in and do a good job. I think that if you point on behaviours, you can teach anyone anything. The technical bit you can teach. You can't teach behaviours. You can't teach values. If their values if you recruit on values and their values align with you, you can go far.
Agreed. And I think it's about thinking about what that person or that team bring to your business, and how you bottle that. And celebrate it and spray it everywhere, because it's contagious, and having an environment where people are able to have an opinion. You want people to have an opinion, because everybody's different, as Nik's just said. So it's not about it being equal for everyone. It's about equity. So it's moved forward. So it's about looking at, okay, how do we ensure everybody's got the same opportunity? And some people might need a little bit more support and guidance than others.
Yeah.
And I think that's about how we'll move it forward in a different manner. But so that retention piece is really, really key to the industry, because if we don't get that bit right, we might as well pack up shop and go home.
And if they leave, you can't get them back.
And it's the added cost on that though, Nick.
To retrain,
retrain, and the costs of then recruiting and rehiring, advertising, the appointment of a new hire in that embedded period. And if you create an environment where people can thrive, and a key driver now is work-life balance, which we've touched on a couple of times, which links into people's mental health, well-being, everything else. If you create an environment where it's a people-first culture, where you do the right thing and grow a business that your people are proud to work for, you're absolutely laughing, aren't you? But whereas if you're like, okay, well, this is what's happening, get on with it.
Yeah.
Well, they're out the door.
In construction, we've had some really positive results at recruiting women into the industry.
Yeah.
We can't keep them.
Right, it's why?
They leave in their 30s when they tend to get married and they tend to have kids. And construction, historically, didn't complement a work-life balance, did it?
Agreed,
And that's where we're starting to change now as an industry, and doing that flexible working, doing the better returns to work. Because those women have probably got, if they're leaving at 35, they've got 15 years experience, they're worth their weight in gold, and they're leaving the sector and they don't come back. So how do we keep, I mean, we're looking now at how we get them in.
Right.
At that, and get them in at that age, at 35-year-old, how do we make construction an exciting? But if they leave, they won't come back, and that's a waste.
It's a massive waste, because the female population piece is the largest talent pool any employer can tap into.
Untapped.
So if you get that bit right, it's so powerful. And then it creates a more diverse conversation in terms of leadership and opportunities. And we're just working with Mumsnet at the moment. And we're doing a huge piece of work about those people who are returning into the workplace as to what they want to see from an employer, what's important, and the driver. Because when people have a child and a family, and you've just mentioned it there, a lot of them decide, actually, I'm not going to go back there because there's no flexibility. But flexibility could mean more than one thing. It doesn't have to be 3 days a week. It could be shorter hours.
But equally, I think there should be more support on women running businesses who have families as well.
Agreed.
Because you're at the front line and you've got to go back into work very quickly, and also to support your team as well. So there should also be that support there, whether that's from government. But I think there's a piece there around that as well.
Especially small business as well. Those women can't take a long time off work, so they're very quickly back. That pull, that guilt when you're at work, that guilt when you're at home is real.
So do you want to just touch on the challenges and opportunities moving forward for the built environment?
I think we've got to start with green skills. Although I don't like the term green skills, I would like us to talk about construction skills.
So what is green skills for anyone who doesn't know?
Yeah, so it is all the skills, the new skills that are coming into the industry that are to support us as a sector on our carbon journey, support us on our journey to net zero. So they are everything from all the trades and the different retrofit kind of skills that we need, to the M&E skills, like understanding what different types of heating models we can use, to the consultants that are designing and understanding what we need when we're putting new installs in, or even new buildings. So there's a plethora of green skills. And I think as long as we talk about them as green skills and not construction skills, they seem a bit ethereal and detached and over there and mythical. We need to embed them. We need to talk about green skills the same way as we talk about a joiner or a bricklayer or an architect or a QS. So we need to embed those, and we need the specialist people in the Northeast. We are already, we are seeing a gap. We are looking to plug the gap in the Northeast for special skills, and they're not there.
I can see an event forming around green skills.
I definitely agree with that, definitely. But I think as well, and you mentioned joiners, electricians, architects, those key construction jobs, functions within the industry, It's about upskilling.
They don't sit in isolation, do they? No.
So it's about upskilling.
Yeah.
It's about upskilling the existing workforce to have those green skills, to go, right, this is where you go next on your journey. We've got to move with the times. Like the changes within the construction sector in terms of how buildings are built, of how it reduces carbon, and they look at where you have your car chargers fitted and all that jazz, because that has to change.
It's not just about the bricks and mortar now.
No, it's not.
It's a far different industry that we're working in. And I do think as a sector, we tend to enjoy learning. So we need to embrace that and learning on the job. I know that certainly within my role at Believe Housing, retrofit has played heavy in the last 5 years, and I've learnt more than I would have ever said I would have known it in the last 5 years. And we have to embrace that, and we have to go with we have to change. We have to transform as a sector. Like you said before, if we're going to build all these houses and we're going to move at pace, where does modular fit into all of that? We've tried it and it's been stop, start. Well, that doesn't work with the modular principles. We need to embrace change, and we need to support change and innovation. That's why we have the innovation theme group. It's got to be on the agenda of every meeting. It hasn't got to be separate. It hasn't got to be a byproduct. Innovation is here, and we've got to embrace it, and we've got to get under the skin of it and see how it enhances our sector.
Agreed. And the advantages that it'll actually bring, and the why we need to be doing this. And then I think celebrating those key milestones along the way of, right, we're here now, we want to get here, we want to attract another 150 people to start with, maybe, in those green skills, and upskill them, and have some areas that you can benchmark against, because then people can actually go, oh, okay, then I'm interested in this. What difference can this make? And they want to become part of that journey as it grows. And I think we've talked a fair bit about reskilling and the importance of retention and keeping that key knowledge within the sector. And that's all linked into it. And it's about embracing change and AI. People are frightened of it, but it's here to enhance and support.
It's here to stay as well.
And it's here to stay. It ain't going anywhere, and you either get on the bus or you're off the bus.
So how will it enhance the construction sector then?
AI, I think it knows no bounds at the moment. I think the enhancement, the support, we say we have a skills shortage, but if we can lean on AI to support us, so to prop up the skills shortage and to enhance the existing roles, there is just the modelling and the understanding at the front end of developing design briefs, understanding how a building will work in the future. That's where AI has real exciting connotations, doesn't it?
It does, and I think it's that speed to productivity piece to make people more efficient in their roles of going, okay, well, this is what I need. I'm just going to pop this information into this chat. And then out comes this amazing report or instructions of what you need to do next, or presentation, or whatever that may be. And it's about people embracing that change, not to replace a job, but it'll be a different type of job. So that's where the sector needs to get behind this innovation, whether that be from AI, green skills, because the world's moving at pace, and we've got 5 generations in the workplace now. 5 generations with a lot of different drivers of what they want.
Different views, different wants. I think for me, one of the opportunities as apprentices, if there's one takeaway from this chat, everyone needs to get apprentices. The younger generation are going to support the longevity of the construction sector. So we need to bring them in. We need to show them that it's exciting. 16, 17-year-old, let's get them in.
Well, that's what we're doing quite heavily with Northern Counties Builders Federation, the Building Your Future campaign. So we're working with a range of colleges across the region. So got an event in March with Darlington College. We've worked with Hartlepool College, Sunderland College. We've got another event with Gateshead College, bringing in employers from the construction sector to come in and meet those final year trade students so that they get the opportunity to chat and to, to talk about what they're learning. Employees can see them in action in the workshops, and, hopefully from the end of it, somebody can get taken into full-time employment. So
I think we need to stop thinking about what benefit we are as employers, what benefit we are giving these young people, and think about the benefit it is to us, to them joining, because they enhance your diversity, they bring a different way of thinking, different outlook. It's exciting bringing young people into your industry, bringing them into your company. It's not just about how you're enhancing their life. They're making a difference in your community and your sector as a whole.
Agreed.
And Nik, you mentioned home, what was it?
The whole life costing.
Yes, so what is that? Tell us.
So I really think we have an opportunity as we move forward to really start looking at whole life costing. It's something that's been in the sector for ages. I remember talking about when I was at uni, so years ago. But at the moment, we appoint contractors and we build buildings based on the cost it's going to be to build that building. So whether it's 20 million or 25 million, we pick a price and we build that building, and then that contractor moves on and the client occupies the building. What we don't understand, or we don't look at as much, or appoint the contractors based on, is how much that building is going to cost to run. What are the green credentials of that building? Is it economical in 5 years' time, 10 years' time? Because it may have cost you 20 million to build, but what happens if it costs you 3 million every year to run? It doesn't make sense. I think if we get into whole life costing, it's certainly interesting for the sector. I think it'll make our buildings more viable, and it'll also enhance our green credentials. It'll make us an attractive industry for others to look at and see how are they modelling that? What does that look like? How can we enhance that? How can we improve the built environment as a whole? Because the built environment's everywhere.
Everywhere you see them.
So whole life costing, I want to see some contracts. I don't know whether I'm going to have to lead the charge. Possibly. I would love to see some contracts where it's the whole life costing, not just the cost to build.
Could be a key theme for you in 2025 and another event. Yeah. So just briefly, outside of work, what do you like doing? Nik, I know you at hockey, isn't it?
Yes.
You're on a hockey team, yeah.
Yeah, I play a bit of hockey. I mean, we're all of a certain age. We're not playing in the FA Cup or anything like that.
We're not that old.
It's Saturday League. It's Saturday League hockey. Love it. I got back. I played it at uni and got back into it after the birth of my child, and just love it. A lot of women don't play team sports. I think a lot of men, as they get older, still play football, still play rugby, golf. They do a lot of socialising like that and a lot of exercise, and I don't think women do it. And I definitely recommend it. It was the best thing I ever did. Those couple of hours away from the family, with your fellow teammates, not thinking about work, just trying to win at hockey. Or not even that fussed if I win or not. I just enjoy the exercise.
What about you, Sarah? What do you like doing outside of Randstad?
Outside of Randstad, I enjoy spending time with the family. Also, a lot of walking with the dog, but my dog's a bit older than...
What dog have you got?
Chocolate Labrador.
Oh, lovely.
14 now.
You've got a Labradoodle.
I know.
Very old now. But the Labradoodles and Labs are the best animals. I'm a little bit biased on that front, but that's the only front I'm biased with. But I also do a fair bit, or I have in the past, and still try to do a bit, with the Girls Network.
Lovely.
Right,
which supports underprivileged girls and provides mentor. So I still mentor a really inspirational girl who's just gone into college. I came here as a refugee at the age of 7, and she's now doing a social care course and really thriving. And that's what makes a difference. And that's what keeps me motivated and gets me out of bed. You can't change the world for everybody, but you can support and change the world for one person.
I don't know whether it's the same for you, but I've done a number of mentors and mentee kind of situations. and I'm still friends. They've become friends.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
Like, I still go for lunch with my. I like to think I'm the first port of call when they're looking for a career change or they're looking for a promotion. They pick up the phone. I still keep in regular contact, and it's just as rewarding for me as it is them. I've had friendships come out of it.
Yeah.
It's not just an arrangement; it's a friendship.
And it's that network piece, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's having somebody that you know within that period when you're if you're a mentor or mentee, that's an hour, 2 hours, whatever it may be, where you just focus on you.
Yeah.
And where in the world or in your life do you ever actually have that time where you just focus on you?
Yeah.
What you want to achieve, and to have that opportunity to support somebody to see that they can achieve their career aspirations or the goals or whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
And not tell them how to get there, but just listen and go, okay, well, tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
And that's the bit that's really exciting.
And you make friendships for life.
do.
Like, even the ones that were my mentors when I started out in my 20s,
Still.
I got a message I got a text message about 3 days ago from one of them who was my mentor from when I was about 25, still keeping regular contact with him. And he said, we're doing coffee before Christmas.
No.
That relationship that spans years and jobs and families and babies and all of that, you can't put a price on that.
That history.
Yeah.
Shared history.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we could be here for hours and hours, so
could.
we'll look to wrap up. But thanks, Nik and Sarah, and look forward to working with you both
Thank you very
during
much.
2025. Thank you.
Thank you very much.